Okay, so I farm. I have my own operation, but I work with my dad and my brother, and we farm approximately two. We cover approximately 2,000 acres of corn and soybeans.
Great. Um, what would you say are like the largest challenges that you face on your farm today?
Well, the biggest thing right now is markets is the biggest thing with the tariff deal and everything else going on. But it's such a the markets are so vulnerable to any one little thing that happens in the global economy. It seems like anymore. So it's not just what's going on here in America, but it's everything else that's going on across the world. So that's kind of the major challenge, I think. Another one would probably be weather. You know, the weather seems to be when you get rain, it comes in either big amounts or hardly at anything at all anymore. So trying to manage that aspect is also kind of becoming the new norm, I guess, or challenge.
Yeah. So, um, how would you say, kind of along those lines, that farming has changed in just your lifetime, or how you've seen it change?
So I guess the biggest thing would be since I was little and helping dad or watching dad around the farm. To what it is now is the technology aspect, and then just modern machinery as far as how it's progressed. But that's one aspect. The other aspect is, back when he was farming or when I was little, the yields were nowhere near what they are today. And that's because of, uh, modern breeding of these hybrids, I think, and stuff getting better and trying to become more efficient. I think with the seed companies and the fertilizer and the irrigation and different things that we do, that's making it kind of come along. So I guess that'd be the biggest thing I've seen as a change.
Um, all right. Would you say that the issues that farmers are facing are the same or different? The challenges or the issues that you mentioned before, they have those
As
changed
far
in
as from
lifetime?
back then until now,
Yeah.
um, to be quite honest with you, and I've talked to some of the older guys about this, but I think the challenges and the issues are real. They've been around for even back since they've been farming for my dad and all that, but it's just a different way of how it's gone about today versus back then, kind of thing. So the challenge, and I think the challenges just kind of evolved. We tackle it as it comes and make it better, and then the challenge poses a new threat or a new problem, and then we just tackle that head on as well. So I'd say, I'm sure there's new challenges, but a lot of them are repeating ones. I think that it's just part of the cycle.
Part of the business. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, what would you say is the difference between what you understand about your farm, in Nebraska, versus farms around the world? From what you have understood, like what makes farming where you farm different?
Well, I think here on our farm, and especially in Nebraska, we have a lot of really fertile land. We also have the aspect of irrigation that a lot of other places, even in this country and around the world, don't have the luxury of having. So I think those are a couple of the biggest things for us. The other part too, you hear of like down in South America when they're trying to get their grain to the port or to the market or whatever, and their infrastructure system isn't very good. They have a hard time getting, I think, their grain, from what I understand. So quote me if correct me if I'm wrong, but um, they have a hard time getting it to the port or the elevator to sell. To where here we have ethanol plants with grain elevators, and it's all a nice roadway system. I mean, they're not the nicest at sometimes, but a lot better than I think what they have. So that's one thing.
Just the infrastructure, main. That makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah.
I'm sure there's more. Let's see what else would just like here. Sometimes I think we take it for granted of what abundance of things we have as far as food and the grain and stuff, where in other countries where farming is taking place, maybe they don't have as much. And I know that's not everywhere, but there's smaller countries that I think struggle to try to compete on the world market too, because of they don't have the things they need to progress in today's farming economy.
Yeah, yeah. Another switch or a different question would be, do you think that the normal business model of farming is changing? And by that, I mean the normal traditional way that like your farm has done business, how you market, grain, what you grow. Do you, even the market that your farm operates in, do you see moving forward that shifting a lot, or is that going to, looks like right now it's going to continue on that path?
I'd say it's going to continue on that path for a little while longer, but it's not going to be it's not going to last forever. I know, and have noticed that things are starting to change a little bit on how, you used to be able to haul something in, the prices were fairly good, but now they have all these little niche markets to get into, as far as, like white corn, or there, a while back, there was the elevator we sell to, they would take a trainload to Mexico for like corn tortillas or stuff like that. Well, now that's kind of come to a halt, and a lot of it is either going straight to the ethanol plant, or the trains are going in an opposite direction. So, and they're tapping into different markets. So I think it's evolving, and wherever an opportunity presents itself, that's what they're going for. Where like a few years ago, it was just kind of a normal thing. This is what we've always done. This is where it's going. This is what's going on. And here in the last, I'd say 4 or 5 years, it's really changed. I think it's more of a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, really volatile.
Yeah.
Have you or your family talked about going into some of those niche markets or doing something different on the farm?
Yeah. Where we're at, we're pretty close to Omaha. So in a big metropolitan area like this, maybe growing vegetables or doing things like that. For instance, my dad has a greenhouse business where he grows annual flowers. Well, just that little market itself is huge. I mean, it's a booming, money-making venture for him. And so it's little things like that, I think, where the corn and soybeans are going to be the answer forever in the area where we're at. And so you're going to have to find different things to kind of cater to the needs of the people around you. Just the farm, that part of the farm is going to change, I think, 5, 10 years, maybe even longer. I don't know, but you kind of got to brace yourself and do things to kind of be ready for that.
Do you think that's going to happen fairly quickly, like a drastic market change, or incremental?
I don't know. I think it'll be more incremental. It just depends, though. Consumer demand has really changed here recently. Organic was always around, and here in the last couple of years, it's really hit big. So maybe it won't be. Maybe it will be more of a fast approaching deal. I don't know. It's kind of flip a coin and see what happens kind of thing. So
yeah, absolutely. So I want to shift a little bit.
Okay.
My next question is about some of these big ag companies, these big ag corporations. I know specifically American agriculture, this is where all the big players are in terms of like those big companies. How do you view them as a farmer? How have they kind of affected your business, and like, are they necessary evils? Are they great partnerships? You don't really think about them because they're just there. Like, have you thought, when you think about just like some of the big companies that are in ag and these large corporations that are in the ag industry, what do you think of them?
I don't necessarily see them as a terrible, like, got to get rid of them kind of a thing, because I think they are necessary in helping to kind of make things move and create those markets. Because in order to get into the bigger markets, you got to have those bigger companies to capitalize to get in there. So I think we kind of work together. But then on the flip side to that, I love the family farm. I love the smaller aspect of things where, you got your dad, your brother, yourself working together kind of thing. But when it gets that big, it's more of a corporation. And I think they kind of maybe lose a little bit of their vision of, what the roots are, how the farm more of a money making well, but it's tough. I mean, I think we got to kind of play together, kind of a deal. I don't dislike them because they do help us, but it is what it is. There's no stopping it, I don't think. You can't stop it. So when you kind of know that, you just got to kind of play along and do the best you can to work with them.
Yeah, absolutely. You kind of addressed this a little bit, but how has technology made a difference on your farm? Anything to add to that from what you addressed earlier?
Yeah, technology has made us a lot more efficient. As far as the machines that we use, the tractors, combines, and stuff, we can do things faster, less man hours, less diesel fuel that we're spending to get across the ground. Like irrigation, driving out to check something, so you can see other places while those things are going on. Where before you could using just the basic auto steer now. Back, I don't know how many years ago, auto steer wasn't really. It was kind of new, and now it's become kind of the normal that you use. And so I don't know. Efficiency is the biggest thing I think out of it, and just makes things a little easier, I guess, on you. As far as like the data that we collect from year to year and use to help make decisions for the next year or even years down the road, that has been very instrumental in what we do too. So.
Very cool. As far as inputs, has it changed significantly? The technology piece of that, any sort of inputs that you would put into the farm?
Like the input side, as far, like there's subscriptions now to get the technologies that we use. So that's an input that you never had, I don't know how many years ago, but what else? Seed is becoming more and more expensive. But in turn with that, the yields have gotten better. It's, the bugs and the funguses and all these other things that we're fighting, we're able to fight that easier. So I guess with the rise in the cost, you're getting some of that back because you're making up it on the yield side. But that's one input that I've seen, since I've started really spike. Fertilizer, I don't know. It's been kind of it's gone up some. It kind of fluctuates with the price of fuel. So I don't know. It is what it kind of, it's kind of a roller coaster ride too, as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Just have one more question.
Yeah.
If you could tell the public any message, whether it was people in your community or just people around the world, if from your perspective as a farmer, if you could tell the public, one message, what would that message be?
The biggest message is, the family farm is here to stay, for one, but we get a bad rap from a lot of people because of the GMO thing and all this other stuff. We're doing bad things to the soil, but I wish people could trust us. I mean, we're not trying to do harmful things. We're trying to do the best we can, be the most efficient we can. So we're not trying to over apply fertilizer and chemicals, because that's expensive to apply those things. So that affects our bottom line if we're over applying. So we're trying to do the right things. We're trying to use water when we have to, not just because we can. Just different things like that. So I would, in general, just trust the farmer, that we're doing the right thing. We're trying to help the country. We're trying to help the environment. All those things that play into it. I guess that'd be my biggest thing, because